I'm just trying to create these little pockets of peer support spaces in the hope that for when I was a 12-year-old boy and I sat in a waiting room and every poster was an elderly person, every other person sitting in the chairs beside me was somebody that didn't feel like it represented me, that I didn't feel like I went into a perfect box that already existed. The whole reason I create all of these spaces is so that hopefully you guys out there can find something that works for you.
Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away.
Hi guys, welcome back. So in this video, I wanted to do a quick recap of everything we achieved in 2022, as well as give you guys a massive thank you for enabling me to have such a platform, promote my message on awareness and advocacy and peer leadership and everything else that we do here at Joel versus Arthritis. Firstly, massive thank you to you. I couldn't do any of the things I'm about to go through without you guys, without you guys sharing things, liking things, supporting my messaging, giving me the stories from your own experiences that allow me to then go on and share those as an advocate and speaker and everything else. So what did we achieve in 2022? Well, quite a bit once I started writing it down. I didn't probably appreciate how much we did until I started writing it down. And it's now making 2023 looking really daunting, but it'll be fine. I'm sure we'll surpass it. So first of all, we launched our Twitch channel at the start of the year in 2022. We were around about a month or two before that at the end of 21. But we officially told you guys about it at the start of 2022. And we launched that with the IFBA Island project, which was a joint project I was doing with IFBA, the sort of global psoriatic disease advocacy body. And it was the first of its kind, using Animal Crossing to raise awareness and build a community. And it was an awesome project, and it will forever be one of the most proudest things I have to my name, in that we literally started from nothing, no viewers. To go live on Twitch for the first time and see that viewer count at 0 is terrifying. And then that viewer count goes to 1, and it becomes even more terrifying because it means somebody out there is actually watching and you're really conscious of it. And yet to go on and do what we did, building a community of over 100 people who would drop in every Tuesday. It all ended with World Psoriasis Day, where we had people join us from over 15 countries. We interviewed advocates from around the world. It was just an amazing thing to be a part of, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm forever grateful of working with IFBA. In fact, I'm wearing one of their t-shirts today. Look, for World Psoriasis Day. So that was great. But we launched a channel in January. We become an affiliate a month later, which is mad. To get affiliate, you have to have 50 followers. You have to have a certain amount of viewers. And abide by all sorts of rules. But that basically allowed us then to monetize what we were doing on Twitch. Therefore, you guys could support us to go on to bigger and better things. And my word, did we go on to bigger and better things. We quickly then became a YouTube partner. So we shot to 1,000 subscribers. And one of the highlights of that was we done an interview with our very own Amy, one of our sort of VIP members of our Twitch community. She came on, talked about her JIA experience, the work she does with CCAA. That's now got nearly 6,000 views, maybe more by the time you watch this, which for a channel like us, it's just mind-blowing. So everything started to happen at the start of the year, and that was because of you guys sharing your stories and allowing me to sort of, I just create the platforms. You guys have to fill that space with your experiences by feeding me that information, that what's a priority to you, what are your pain points that I then take on when I do all of this other work. Obviously, a huge one was I spoke at the EADV conference. That's a very medical heavy European Congress. I don't really like having a lot of patients there, and at times I did feel that. But I got to talk there. I got to sit in and when I say packed, I know everyone does that whole packed room. It was standing room only. People were out the back doors. The room was 200, 250 people, but yeah, it was standing room everywhere only sort of thing. And I got to share that stage with two sort of world-renowned professors. One in particular, Matthias Augustine, who I particularly look up to for his work. To share a stage with him, and Dr. Summer and other people that are doing amazing things in the dermatology space as a peer. It was the first time I've done anything like this where I felt like a peer, like I was one of those, which is amazing. And I got to do that, and I'm very proud of it. And it was a real like bucket list sort of moment for me. And it also probably, that was back in like September. It really gave me the confidence to go on and do much bigger things, because I suddenly realised, you know what, I deserve a seat at this table. I'm going to have a seat at this table, and people are going to listen to my experience. We then, in that same week, I spoke at the IFBA forum, talking about mental health and psoriatic disease, talking about how my experiences with rashes and things made me feel, which was a huge thing for me. It was also a little bit daunting because I was doing that amongst a lot of my peers, other fellow ambassadors, who I felt were probably much more deserving than me to do those talks. But I felt like we got the message across and did what we needed to do. Also, that week, I had to squeeze in a talk at a pharmaceutical company's sort of annual conference. That was daunting as hell. Massive lecture hall, full of hundreds of people, huge stage, all mic'd up, the full works. And I went from doing the talk at the IFBA forum straight in a taxi across Milan to do this other talk. And it was one of those ones where I didn't even get to see the space I would be talking in until I was brought in. I had to wait outside in the corridor. There's lots of rules surrounding pharma stuff that patients like myself aren't allowed to see and hear. So it's not like you can even just sit and take in the space that you're going to be using. So it was literally ushered straight on in front of everybody, and I had to go and do sort of a 20-30 minute talk. Again, talking about my skin, mental health, that same sort of themes. I was personally really proud of that. That's the first time I've done like a talk show style setting where you're like in seats, plants, like in conversation kind of thing. And I thought I nailed that. I'm not a confident person. Anyone that follows me on Twitch and social media will know that I'm always putting myself down, but genuinely I felt like that was one of the best performances in terms of my advocacy I'd ever given. So I was really proud of that one. And I had lots of people reach out to me from the audience afterwards, which is always a good sign. We then also done in October the project that we filmed in Barcelona about shedding a light on psoriasis, which I wasn't aware of would then lead to my painting that was done as part of that documentary being put on the side of the Almirall Pharma headquarters in Barcelona, which I believe is still probably there now. But that was an amazing experience to basically have my portrait done, portraying the light and the dark side of living with psoriatic disease, the good and the bad days. And yeah, it was a surreal experience, very surreal. It felt like I was on a Netflix documentary. And yeah, I was a bit of an emotional wreck after seeing my paint, and just because of what it meant to me, and the elements that featured Dylan and Son and things like that. But yeah, that was a like, who gets to say that? Who gets to say they have their picture painted, which is mad? And then who gets to say their image is put on the side of a massive building in Spain whilst I sit here in a cold, wet Norwich, UK? It's surreal. It's surreal. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why me. I generally don't. But I'm glad that seems to have gone down really well. And I'll put some links in the notes for anyone who wants to find where these things are. I got to speak at the Psoriasis Association annual conference in Birmingham. That was the first time I'd come out after lockdown and Shield, and I'd basically hobbited away for 2 years doing all this advocacy stuff behind a screen. And for the first time, I got the opportunity to go on stage and do it in person. I was terrified. I sweated buckets. But I think it went well. Again, that's now on YouTube. You can find it. There's a playlist on the channel that says other videos featuring Joel. You'll see all the IFBA ones, all the Psoriasis Association ones there. Go check them out. Give them a like. Leave a comment for the people that were kind enough to invite me to do those things. Yeah, that was huge. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, doing my first 20-minute in person speech was daunting. But now it feels like just the thing I do, which is amazing because it was only 6 months ago. We then found out that our podcast, which I admit I've been lazy on because obviously the Twitch and the YouTube and talking has all taken over. So we haven't released a podcast episode in a couple of months, even though I've got loads of episodes stacked up from people we've interviewed on Twitch. Found out that was in the top 25% most shared globally on Spotify. Might not sound like a lot. I know that's a company of millions, but still, top 25% shared when we are a niche chronic illness, chronic pain awareness kind of podcast feels special to me anyway. What else did we do? We done 2 8-hour marathon streams on Twitch, one with the World Psoriasis Day, which I've already mentioned, one for Word Day, which was really popular. Tens and tens of countries represented in terms of the audience on those days, which was awesome. Got over 2,000 followers on Insta, which I think for an old bald guy talking about pain and mental health is pretty impressive. But I realise I'm talking about niche things that only matter to a small percentage of people, but that's all that matters. It wouldn't matter if that was just that one person. They got it from it. They got something out of it. They felt seen. They felt represented where maybe other areas they don't. I talk a lot about how patient organisations need to do more to stop appealing to Instagram followers and Facebook followers and represent the entire range of people that live with our conditions. That's what I try to do. I try to fill in those gaps. So that's why we exist on Twitch, for those people where maybe a Facebook or an Instagram community doesn't work or feel relevant to them. It also helps us reach a younger audience as well. So we got 2,000 followers on Instagram. We got over 1,000 followers on Twitter, getting close to 1,000 on Facebook. Like, Facebook is by far our most engaged community. We've got people that are really invested on what Dylan's up to and what my family are up to. But it's always been a hard one to grow on Facebook. We launched a peer support gaming platform on Discord. So again, the link will be down in the description. Everything if you want to get hold of that, where basically we talk about computer games, what we're going to do on Twitch, share memes. It's basically a private forum for anyone that wants to join. It's completely free, where we just hang out and support one another. That's all there is to it. Another one that's really special for me is that I was published in a medical journal for the first time, which for a patient feels big. So that was the Dermatological Nursing Journal. So big shout out for the Psoriasis Association who got me that opportunity. And since then, I've gone on to writing a lot of other publications, which kind of felt second nature now, which is awesome and says a lot about how much I'm growing, I suppose, into this role. As a reminder, I started this because I was in a bad place in 2019. I started writing as a way of processing how I was feeling and my lack of mobility and everything else, and it's just snowballed. And like I say, that's all because of you guys. If I didn't have you guys amplifying my voice, in my corner, pushing me up that hill of self fear, lack of confidence, feeling like a fraud, and all those other feelings you feel like when you're doing something new for the first time. If I didn't have you guys doing that, I wouldn't have got this long list of achievements I've just rattled out to you guys today. Every single one of those can be traced back to one of you guys supporting me. Genuinely, I produce the content. I just create the space. It's you guys that fills it. It's you guys that takes what you want from it, whether that's a YouTube video, a Twitter post, a podcast episode, joining us on Twitch to play computer games. Ultimately, I'm just trying to create these little pockets of peer support spaces in the hope that for when I was a 12-year-old boy and I sat in a waiting room and every poster was an elderly person, every other person sitting in the chairs beside me was somebody that didn't feel like it represented me, that I didn't feel like I went into a perfect box that already existed. The whole reason I create all of these spaces is so that hopefully you guys out there can find something that works for you. That's why we do what we do, and that's why I spread myself so thin. I know I spread myself so thin. You only have to look at how the podcast has fell behind a little bit. But yeah, thank you, massive thank you, guys. I couldn't do any of this without you, genuinely. And this has taken me a couple of takes to do without embarrassing myself, because genuinely there was no way I was getting on planes to Italy and Spain and driving to Birmingham to do a talk. Any of that stuff this year would have never have happened without you guys, my awesome family, my son Dylan. Um, yeah, just thank you. And people believing in me far more than I probably believed in myself back then. The good news is I now do believe in myself, not to a cocky level, but just to a point where I've done these talks, I've done these videos, I know I'm capable, I know I can produce value for someone out there, because I get it in my DMs. And thank you for every single message you guys send me, because it genuinely fuels my advocacy on those days when I'm struggling myself and my pain is high, or I'm going through the same things that you guys are doing. Those DMs that get me out of bed, that make me turn on the computer, that make me do something else, or that gets me on that plane and that taxi, etc. So big things planned for next year. That is a pretty impressive list for 2022. I can't promise you I'm going to top it. If you would like to help me top it, and you think that my advocacy, my words, my content, can help what you're doing, your project, whether you're from an organization, farmer, an individual, or a business, please do get in touch. My contact details are on the channel. And yeah, I can't wait to tell you what's coming in 2023. Have a wonderful Christmas, New Year, and I look forward to seeing you in 2023. Bye.